Okay. Now, I thought I would take a slightly different vantage point out here today. Hello, MicheleMarieDalene, it's MicheleMarieDalene. This morning it is July 6th, 2017. Of course, it's one of those nice days of the month out here on the porch. I took a few hour nap and then I woke up and of course I dozed off and I was having a really cool dream and I woke up at about 12:45 a.m. on the 6th. And so I thought I would take some time to talk to you about what's been going on with my eyes and what I suspect is going on with my eyes. As you may know, like a lot of people, I use my phone a lot. I do a lot of screen time. I watch and read a lot of news and videos, and that causes my eyes a lot of damage, because the fact of the matter is that my eyes hardly get much of a break, because they're open they're open for so many hours each day. My right eye, which already had a cataract in it, is pushed the hardest. My left eye, thanks to the fancy eye drops, never really got a cataract, but it does get eye strain. And so when my dry eye, especially my left eye, so what happens is that my eye starts to, both eyes kind of start to cloud up a little bit. The right eye because of the cataract, the left eye because of just constantly staring at the screen and watching videos all day long. So today I decided to sleep in and rest my eyeballs, and so I rested, like I said, for a few hours. I had nothing to do anyway, so and that's what I did, was I rested my eyes. And I talked to YouTube channel Grants today. He said that it looks like it's very likely that we'll have our funding next week to begin the process of renovating and upgrading our hardware. Unfortunately, it's too bad that some of the hardware that I want to renovate and upgrade isn't necessarily covered by the grant. I'm talking, of course, about eye repair. But again, as like many times I've said before, with lateral nystagmus, you can't easily fix a cataract in your eye, because you have to make a less than a 2 millimeter incision into the eye to remove the old lens. There's a lot of recovery time, and it's something that could result in things such as detached retinas and other things, which are just absolutely positively horrendously scary in their own behalf. And without knowing support networks such as friends to help me with my eye care, or even me being to get around to do the things that I gotta do, that kind of makes it hard for everybody. So, it's just not practical for me to go through with the cataract surgery in my right eye to fix the cataract, which kind of sucks, because I really, I'll be honest, I really kind of wish I could get my right eye as good as it used to be. Because when I do this with the fingers, if I push it really tiny, I can sort of see almost as good as I can with my glasses. Not quite as good, but of course that's just like a pinhole lens. If you think about what a pinhole lens is, it makes things nice and clear, but unfortunately it tends to also mean that the lets in less light. So then your eyeball opens up more like that and lets a little more compensate for the loss of light, and then cause a lot of eye strain too. So it's not really to an improvement. I don't think the Eastern Creator Grant covers eyeglasses. I will have to wait possibly to the renter's rebate. Now let's talk about that for a second, because the renter's rebate, with the way Daniel P. Malloy's been acting, like governor of the state of Connecticut, is, are we going to have renter's rebate? Well, the answer to that is, I'm not sure. Last year, I did not get the maximum of $700. I got less than that. I got about $680. And the reason is we were giving so much money to illegal aliens that there just wasn't enough money for people born and raised in Connecticut who are also American citizens. Those people, which include me, got the shaft, okay, last year. So the question is could we get the shaft again? It's very likely possible. Because everybody wants to help out the illegal alien, but when it comes to people of Connecticut who are naturally born and raised in this state, it's just not gonna happen. I'm just checking on the cat here. He's behind me. It's a shame, but it's true. Different states, as I mentioned, are, dealing with this situation, with their budgets, and especially all the left, the liberal states. Connecticut is one of the liberal states, is dealing with the same issue that, we want to support all the open borders, we want to support all these illegal immigrants, we want aliens, we want to give free money to the poor, we want to give, first of all, I'm poor, but I was born and raised in this country. And because I was born and raised in this country, I need not apply, because I'm not going to get it, okay? In other words, here's just a sad story. If you are an illegal alien and you come into the state, you can get as much as $3,000 to $4,000 sight unseen just for coming off the tuna boat. You don't even have to really prove anything that you really worked or anything. You just come off the boat and say, hey, I'm from El Salvador, or I'm from Syria, or I'm from Afghanistan, or Iran, Iraq. All of a sudden you get possibly up to $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Not a one-time deal, not a two-time deal, a month. And whereas if I try to go to the same people and say, look, I was born and raised in this country, I'm an American citizen, I need help. They'll say, sorry, can't help you, goodbye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Well, why are you giving all this money to all these illegals, but the people who are born and raised in this country can't get assistance? That is so messed up, it's ridiculous. I don't even understand the logic behind that. And when we get assistance from Social Security and food stamps, it's a third of what they're giving to illegals. That's even more messed up. Jobs. I can speak openly about this. A lot of employers will not hire Americans because their arguments is that Americans don't want to work, they're lazy. Oh, excuse me, that is not true. That is not true at all, because I know a lot of Americans that would just be happy to have a job. But we do have requirements, and the Department of Labor is a part of the requirements to set up guidelines in different states. But Connecticut, the minimum wage must be adhered to. It's not an individual thing. The minimum wage is a state law thing. Okay? Now, in the city of Seattle, which has a minimum wage of $15 an hour, we're already seeing some of the ramifications of what's happening with that. $15 an hour, people are getting less jobs because companies can afford to pay them less money. And even if they could pay them, then everything else the person's going to buy is going to go up accordingly. okay, housing to apartments, because in the case of apartments and housing, it's decided, well, you guys get $15 an hour minimum, so we can charge more money, so we can become more richer. Yeah, that's true. You gotta admit, that's absolutely true. In a free market economy, if the buyer and the seller kind of want to try to find a happy medium, but we were talking about without having the Congress or the state legislators. Yeah, Misty. Oh, well, someone getting in the middle of the story here. People tend to forget that. Is that in a free market society, you and your seller, negotiate a price that you feel is both fair. Of course, the seller wants to try to make more money because that's the way it works. Ask any Ferengi. Profit. But everybody who's a consumer is looking to save a little money. But there's a price that's in the center when the two sit down and just negotiate that both are considered a fair deal. When we start throwing in minimum wages, mandatory minimum wages like they did in Seattle, $15 an hour, this has a negative impact on the people, because now those people are having to make a deal with a third party in the middle saying you must give at least employee $15 an hour. So if you're a landlord, that means, well, since your employer has to give you at least $15 an hour per hour, then I can go ahead and charge you more rent because I'm actually got to pay my own landscaper and my own maintenance people and everything else, at least the minimum wage of $15 an hour. So then I know that at least you will have $15 an hour towards the rent. Rent is one of the biggest expenses of anybody, and it's true. If you look at, figure it out, it's 50% of your income. Let's just keep the math easy, okay? If you're working 40 hours a week, okay, let's use Connecticut's information, which is about 10, okay? You're working 40 hours a week. That's $400 before taxes. $400 before taxes. And that's, say, is $1,600 before taxes, okay? That means that the landlord can say is, oh, I can charge you $800 a month rent because rent is at least 50% of your income. So if you find an apartment for $800 a month, you should be able to afford it. Yeah, but there's a problem here, and that problem is that, well, you might be able to find an apartment for $800 a month for, say, a single apartment. There's a lot more expenses to it than just that. I mean, you gotta pay more for your gas, you gotta pay more for your electric, you gotta pay more for your phone, your TV, if you're gonna have cable or satellite, or like me, you don't have either one, but you use the internet. It's just gonna cost more because you gotta pay for those expenses. See, the problem when you start talking about mandatory minimum wage is it kind of removes the natural flow of buyer and seller, and that's reasons why the people in Seattle, Washington really think that $15 an hour was a mistake, because what damage it's doing to the city. Now, incidentally, in Maine, the governor there, Governor LePage, as originally there was a law passed by Republicans to give the people of Maine in the food service industry, the wage staff was supposed to get paid more money in minimum wage. What did the wage staff do in restaurants? They lobbied against the state legislation, says, no, we want that law repealed, because there was a existing program which the kind of like that protected them, which would have been removed. And what that would have done is they would have been paid more, in essence, but they would have gotten less because they realized that the cost for the employer for wait staff would have gone up enough that the wait staff would have lost their jobs. And because they would have lost their jobs, it makes no sense. You know, and there was already an existing program that they liked, and that was part of the original payment system having to do with tips. So, the state legislature agreed with them, and they voted on it, and it was agreed to repeal it before it even went into effect. Because of that reason. It was the employees and the wait staff that said, no, we don't want this. It wasn't some lobby, except for the wait staff themselves that said, we don't want this. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm saying about minimum wage is mandatory minimum wage. Mandatory anything, actually, not just minimum wage, has a habit of saying is, here is the minimum that we will accept for, you know, in this case, pay rate. And that means that it removes the ability to negotiate between the buyer and the seller, because now you got that, as I said, there's an artificial floor that has been set. You can't go below that floor, okay? And of course you can go above it, but depending on the kind of person's trade, it may not be practical to go above it. For example, a guy that mows your grass, for example, certainly doesn't need to make $25 an hour, unless of course he's a major landscaper, he's got a huge crew of people, and they're going to do more than just mow your grass. But just to have a college or college teenager or, you know, high schooler in the summer mowing your grass, I'm not even dealing with the licensing business. That's a whole other issue of mandatory BS that sometimes gets in the way. Maybe somebody might need a very small, tiny lawn mowed, say, and they might be willing to pay, you know, a teenager say $3 or $5 because the layouts are small, and the teenager says, "I'm sorry, but the state of Connecticut says I can have no less than $10 an hour." Well, if I'm going to pay you $10 an hour, I want you to also landscape my bushes and my shrubs too, right? So you might say, if you're the student, oh wow, I'm going to give you more money, but I have to maintain the flower beds and the shrubs along with the grass. Well, yeah, but I don't really think that really necessarily saves you any trouble, because now you have to do more work, because otherwise the customer doesn't feel just having you run your lawnmower to mow his lawn for $10 an hour is acceptable, and that's the truth. But then again, sometimes people take advantage of the person, and they do. And then there's some. But don't forget, it's in a free market. The seller or service provider and the customer are the ones who come up with a deal, like me and my landlord do. For example, I help him take care of the paperwork and stuff with the courts and stuff with evictions, whatever like that. Majority of the time, I don't really ask for a lot, because it's really a pretty simple process, really. Once you just type or handwrite notes in and copy them, it's not really a big deal. But I've had people say, well, you should charge him more money than a coffee at Cumberland Farms. Well, maybe I just want a coffee. Okay? You know, to me and him, for that kind of work, when it's just like maybe one or two, you know, sets of paperwork to deal with, the coffee isn't so bad. I mean, but if he was to give me a stack of 15, 20 packets to do, I'll be like, whoa, what's it? That's going to be a lot more than a coffee. You know, that's going to be more like 5 coffees or 10 coffees. And then, because I'm not going to be able to sit there and drink 10 coffees at one day. We've already seen what happens when you try. There have been people who died from caffeine poisoning. But in that case, I'd probably say we're going to have to use some gas because there's no way I can drink 5, 10 coffees. But he technically owes me money now because he fell behind in the coffee quota. So we'll have to see if I can kind of next time he needs to work, I gotta remind him, hey, I'm gonna need some more cash. You kind of fell behind. But that's where again the free market system, if allowed to work, accordingly, can actually make sense. But when you, like I said, with this minimum wage stuff that can be good and can be bad, every time the minimum wage goes up, everything else goes up accordingly. It's a trickle down. It's not a trickle down. It's a bubble up effect. In other words, every time you increase the price of your employees, that increases the indirectly it's going to increase the price of the products and services that the company uses. Think about it. Employees are their biggest and most expensive asset they have. They have to pay them, and of course, and materials and goods that other companies make for that company, their prices are going to go up because they got to pay those employees more money to make those same goods and services. Pretty scary, huh? It's true. So that's the reason why I'm just got that's the reason why the people in Seattle found that out the hard way upon doing the research that increasing the minimum wage in the city of Seattle did nothing but to create a lot of problems for everybody. That's one of the reasons why Donald Trump says is that he would rather leave it to the states to decide what is considered a good minimum wage instead of trying to have the federal government get involved in raising the national minimum wage. Because he's right. If you raise the national minimum wage, then everybody, especially the Social Security, disability, and retiree, is going to find themselves unable to compete. That's a program that they have not increased significantly to make increases the prices for Social Security and for disability. But then again, we already know that there's things going on with the Social Security Administration and the Veterans Administration and other programs, is that these people who created these programs originally stood for SSI, Supplemental Security Income. The key word here is supplemental. It's not sole security income. Same thing for supplemental security disability income. SSDI. Okay? Same situation. And several legislatures said the same thing. It was designed to be a supplement, not as a sole source of income. But, like many times I've said before, is for people on the system, it has become their sole source of income. It's harder when you have multiple handicaps to find jobs, because most employers are like, well, I can hire the able-bodied person before I hire you, because they can see better, they can hear better, they can walk better, and yeah, that's true. But no, I need a job too. So, yeah, that's a mess. It's a mess. No kidding about it. It's a mess. But it's going to change. Because now when more jobs come back to this country, several employers have already said, I've got a lot of positions, but I don't have enough qualified applicants to do the jobs. One of the things that Donald Trump had said that he wants to do is to provide for people the training to do those jobs. Hey, I agree 100%. That's what we gotta do. I mentioned that a couple of videos ago, maybe last month, is that a lot of stuff I do is a bit out of date now, but yeah, we need jobs too. So, let me tell you what, now let's talk about you two creative grants for a minute, because I wanted to let you know what they told me. They caught the perp, because I told you he tried to deposit the money into his own bank account like an idiot. Okay? Second of all, I don't know of any idea who he is, or she is, or where they're from. But I do know is that they said they are going to be prosecuting both his criminal charges and his civil charges. The TD Bank is. So the individual especially is going to be paying a lot of pain. Good. Yeah. He didn't have to sue so much pain if he didn't do what he did. If he simply left the money alone and didn't spend the money that wasn't his, he wouldn't have to suffer so much pain, now would he? But, you know what? That's the way crooks are. I mentioned that once before. Everything, I think I mentioned today, they don't think it through when they say about money. They come in, they take the money, they run with the money. And then they wonder why everybody else is out there saying, what are you taking the money for? It's not your money. Well, I needed money. Really? Gee, that's fun. So, while you're taking somebody else's money, you think that you're going to get away with it free and clear. That's not the case. Because if the person finds out you took their money and they know who you are, they're going to, within the legal letter of law, can legally get it back from you. And they can take you to court. They can take you to criminal court, which has limitations on the amount judgments. But if they take you to civil court, as I told them to, is that they can get whatever they want out of you. They can sue you into the poorhouse. That sounds kind of stupid to me. So you can get money for buying some weapons and crack, cocaine, or whatever. That doesn't make any sense. Alright, now, for the next few days, I wanted to also take some time to wrap this up, because I want to cover a few more things. But, I gotta go, believe it or not, check some things downstairs in the mailbox. Is to talk to you about what is our plans for the studio, because I think some of you have heard me talk about that a lot. Right now I'm doing this video outside out on the porch, and the reason I'm doing it out on the porch is because it's cool right now. We are going to buy some new equipment that we can use out here on the porch, as well as new equipment that we can use inside. And one of the most important pieces of equipment we're going to be buying for both uses is we can buy a chroma key generator or keyer, and also we're going to be buying some new microphones. We're going to be buying some Shure SM11 lavalier microphones that would attach right here to my top. Then it can work with the iRig Pre, and the reason we need to use those is because instead of a standard desk mic, is so that you'll always hear me, especially when I'm trying to read something. To help us read the news, we're going to buy an iPad. And I'm going to get the biggest iPad I can get without a prescription. And the reason is because of my eyes. My eyes, a little 4-inch screen like on my iPhone 4S, is very difficult to read. So I need a bigger phone. And I also hear that Apple or T-Mobile is planning to stop supporting the iPhone 4S. Well, I can sort of see why. It's old phone. Okay? But nothing in the technology field is static. Even my field. Now, not only are we going to be getting a chroma key processor, we're going to be getting an overlayer device that will allow us to overlay titles and graphics on top of the videos. Like, for example, like a title underneath saying MicheleMarieDalene. If you take a look at Gary French's next news note, you can kind of see what we're going to be doing. But we're not going to have... I also want to pick up a regular overhead projector, transparency projector. And I know what you're saying is, why do you want to get something so old school? Well, for one thing, sure, I can get a regular video projector and everything, and that would be great. An overhead projector will allow us to, since I have a printer and I can print on transparency film, I could actually print things and then put them on the projector, and then I could show them you that way. If I deal with the other projector, that would work too, but might be a little more problematic in certain applications. With the new iPad comes the ability to do something with what they call Apple Link or something, Video Link, using an Apple TV device that would be allowing me to not Apple share, it's printing, but so you can share video from the iPad to a device that supports the Apple Communications Protocol, including, of course, Apple TV. So you'd be able to show people videos and things like that. It may sound kind of stupid, but actually, really, it isn't. It would be really a good tool because then I could show you the news articles and stuff instead of having a whole laptop to do that, and then have to run cables and snake. Well, I'm going to start with either one cable anyway, the HDMI cable, to go to the, actually, since the Apple protocol is actually wireless, it probably don't even need that, but the whole point here is that you can share information between the Apple TV and the, if I did go for a video projector system, or a regular, very large LCD monitor, that would be great. I do admit there's one thing I do love, and that's one thing I've been seeing on the other channel I want, is that big, honking, huge computer screen that you see behind the meteorologist. That would be kind of nice. It's a little bit better than green screen because I can look right there on the screen right in front of me and, you know, just touch parts of the screen, pinch and zoom and things like that, like a giant iPad. But without that kind of technology, maybe I'll just go for an iPad. And maybe I'll go for an iPencil too, because I can do some shading and, you know, and drawing lines like you see in sports games. Yeah, you know, so I can show like how the weather fronts are moving over here to the spot and all that. Great stuff. And what about the radio show? You know, we haven't really talked much about that either. Well, yeah, this could easily be a radio show. And I think I am going to export this to yourlisting.com because you and yourlisting.com haven't seen nothing or heard nothing in a long time. Patreon. Patreoners, the few of you who have a Patreon, which is none, as far as I know, I'm going to want to start doing more for Patreon too. Because, like BigClive.com pointed out, YouTube is not necessarily always so fair. If you say the wrong thing, all of a sudden somebody could go ahead and get your whole channel shut down. Poof! Just like that. So if you're also doing video streaming and stuff on Patreon, SoundCloud, GoFundMe, well, GoFundMe didn't work out too well. I gotta be honest, I still got it, but I don't think it's really working out. But that would mean that we would be able to reach more people very easily. Because those people would be able to listen to it. Okay? Well, no, people who listen to Infowars.com with Alex Jones. Do you think everybody sits there and watches his show on TV? A lot of time they're listening to the broadcast and when they're driving the cars or whatever. Okay, because obviously they're doing something else, right? We, me and Lemmy, have got to do something similar. We've got to reach out to a broader audience than just those who are going to look at our faces on screen. Because we all know people live in a very busy world. They might be listening to us in the background while they're, typing on Facebook or whatever. And they're not going to be sitting there and listening and watching the video in real time. They're going to be, that's the way it is. So, if we cover things through yourlist10.com, which has its own issues. One of the things that yourlist10.com I should accept is the participants, which includes me, don't necessarily get paid for their advertisements that they put on before our videos or our audios. We don't get paid for those ads that they put on before our broadcast. They get 100% of the advertising. We don't get nothing. And so for us, on your listen, it really doesn't necessarily work out. Patreon, we can choose to make a paid podcast. In other words, I could say, I'm going to charge my patrons $1 each to listen to this. But, if I'm going to charge my patrons $1 to listen to this, then I can't release the YouTube one until later, because the ones that end up on Patreon are going to have to be put up first. And I don't know what the YouTube grants policy is. YouTube channel grants policy is regarding Patreon. And the fact is, if your videos are sponsored on a non-YouTube media, that's an issue. So there's a lot of research. Rusty, that guy's over there. He's like on the wall. He's sitting there. What's he mean? Sitting on the stairwell. The grants are possibly going to be here by next week. And as soon as I find out more details, exactly who the perp is, where the perp is from, and maybe even find out why he took the money. Could it have been a hate crime? Who knows? I have no clue. But I do know is that they said that they hope that through the civil action through TD Bank, symbol/criminal, that they're going to get get the money returned to them, and then it's going to go to the appropriate people. And so that's all I can say. I got a big list of things that I want to get for the studio, but it also has to be what I call a level of common sense purchases too. One of the things I'm considering is for the studio, in addition to the iPad, is a new Mac to replace both the Intel Core 2 Duo iMac and a new Mac to replace the Power Mac G5. The Power Mac G5 is working fine, but it's an older Mac. And so I'm kind of thinking that since it is the 21st century, that the machine, which is made in 2005, has worked well. Both of them are pretty old. Technically, from what I understand, the Intel Core 2 Duo Mac is a little bit newer than the Power Mac G5 by about 2 years. But they're not. But they are older machines, so there's things that they cannot do because the software was never reported to them. Or in the case of the Intel Core 2 Duo Mac, the software that was available for them has upgraded to the point where it no longer works on that machine. So that means that we need to consider it's time to upgrade the system. And after we see all this malware stuff going on because people are using obsolete operating systems, you really kind of start to wonder, is my Power Mac, is my Intel Core 2 dual Mac any better off than people are running Windows XP, because I'm running Snow Leopard. So it sounds to me like a good excuse as any to get forward and get a new machine. And I can get an inexpensive Mac in good shape. A desktop Mac, like the one I would use for the iMac for Dory's computer applications. Yeah, she definitely would want to have a better Mac on that desktop. For the bedroom, however, because that is a workstation, and that's where we do our YouTube videos, we need a Mac that does a lot more than just looks cute. We need a Mac that has the tools and the support to do some really intense video stuff. We're talking about the new iMovie, or maybe the very latest Final Cut Express, which is not, or Final Cut Pro, so that we can do the very, very latest in video processing and special effects. This is the kind of stuff that we need for tools, and of course we can, if we have the new Mac Pro, the Mac Cane as I call it, of course is using Thunderbolt. And I looked into adapters for Thunderbolt. There's Thunderbolt, the FireWire to Thunderbolt adapters, and of course there's VGA to Thunderbolt adapters. But there's no SCSI, the Thunderbolt. So there's no serial attached SCSI, the Thunderbolt either. So that means our tape drive is going to be a problem. That means that we need to use our existing Mac just to back up the computers. The whole idea is with a whole new computer system is to cut power consumption, not to have to lug up two machines to do the same job that one machine could technically do. Okay? And don't tell me about starting replacing computers, because that ain't going to happen. I mean, tape drives. That's not going to happen. Okay? Because number one, it's too bloody expensive to do it that way. Okay? So there's a whole bunch of new issues that we will deal with eventually. But the $5,000 also covers the set redecoration. We really seriously, me and Lemmy have talked about this. We seriously want to change the set layout because I like the old set where we shoot videos and everything, but those incandescent light bulbs are major heat producers. So there definitely is a strong desire to lower the heat. So that means that we need to consider using LED light sources, because we can lower the heat and increase the light and lower the electric bill at the same time. There's a win-win-win right there. But finding a good-looking, nice, high-lumen, 6,000 lumens each LED light sources is going to be hard to do. Okay? It can be done, but I'm thinking is maybe maybe a 50 watt, two 50 watt LED light sources, similar to the ones that Big Clive has on his desk, might work fine. But I might want to check the luminosity of those, make sure that they are bright enough to make equivalent for the incandescent bulbs that they would be replacing, and the color temperature has to be compatible. So there's a lot of things we gotta do. Are we still gonna do a video this morning? Count on it. Rusty, what's going on upstairs? I guess. Yep, what's going on upstairs now? Yes, we will be doing a video this morning. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of come out here after I risked my eyeballs and talk about the things. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get some new glasses too, but I can get that with the Renter's rebate. If there's Renter's rebate, we don't know about that either, do we? Nope. But we'll see. Alright guys, I'm going to put this on yourlisting.com. I'm going to put this also on, I'm going to put this also on YouTube. So that both audiences can hear this. What gets hard now is I got to make sure to make a notes page for both. Oh, what? I don't know if you really should put this on yourlisting.com. It's not working out too well. What are you suggesting? Once went on Patreon, because Patreon seems to be, okay, you can do that. Alright, so for now, we'll see you guys in the morning. Okay? Bye-bye.